Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on February the 1st of 2022, and it's now 9:30. And I would ask Larry Coy, are you still here? If you would lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, Lord, just thankful for the goodness that you bless us with, for all those that are coming before us, Father, that paved the way for us to be here this day. We just ask you to continue to bless us all, bless the leaders of this country as they do their jobs as you see fit for them. Father, we pray your blessings on this court, that they would do their business today in a faithful manner, Father, to serve you in every way that they can. We ask you to continue to bless all of our first responders of this country as they go about their business and keep them safe as they're doing it. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Larry. Let's run forth and call the roll to have the court come to order.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lobson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Here.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Thank you, Candy. Treasurer's transfer report, Canaan? Yes, ma'am.
To you all this morning, those transfers were dated for January the 31st of 2022 and also for February 1st of 2022.
Second.
Got a motion by 1st District Magistrate Mitchell, a second by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon to approve the Treasurer's transfer report as presented. Any discussion, members? Candace, call the roll, please.
Mr. Lobson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Presentation and approval of all bills.
Make a motion to approve all bills.
Second.
Got a motion by 4th District Magistrate Rahal, a second by 3rd District Magistrate Laswell to approve the bills as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, Candace, call the roll.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Approval of minutes for Bullitt County Fiscal Court on January the 18th, 2022.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes dated January 18th, 2022.
Got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by 1st District Magistrate Mitchell to approve the minutes of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court, January the 18th, 2022, as presented. Any discussion, members of the court? And now, Candace, call roll.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell? Yes. Mr. Lobson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Thank you. We don't have any presentations today. Old business, none. New business. First reading and public hearing of zoning ordinance 2022-03, the HC development. Felicia.
Good morning.
Good morning, Felicia.
All right, this is Planning Commission docket 2021Z-28. The applicant owner is HC Development. They are asking to rezone their property from agricultural and stream reserve and R1 to R3 residential. It is located at Highway 44 East. It has a PVA address as 231 Foster Lane, but does not actually have access off of Foster Lane. It's located in an unincorporated area of the county. It's 68.75 acres, more or less, and the comprehensive plan shows low-density residential. The Bullitt County Planning Commission held a public hearing on December 9th, 2021, and based on that testimony, the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds that the requested zoning change is not in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan, and there has been no significant changes in the area, and sends an unfavorable recommendation to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court. The opponents objected to the proposed zoning change on the following basis. The comprehensive plan shows the area as low-density residential, and this development is high-density. The safety of the roadway is a concern since the existing residents have problems exiting their driveway from traffic. Drainage of stormwater will run down onto their property, and the schools are already overcrowded, and adding more to an existing problem is irresponsible. So based on this testimony, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends this requested zoning change be denied and sends an unfavorable recommendation to Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Thank you, Felicia. Rob?
This is first reading in Commonwealth of Kentucky County Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 22-3. An ordinance relating to changing the zoning of certain property from agricultural, stream reserve, and R1 residential to R3 residential. The property in question is 68.75 acres, more or less, located at Highway 44 East and Foster Lane in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of public hearing of the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing of the Fiscal Court. Whereas the Fiscal Court disputes and rejects the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for denial of said zoning change, and disapproves and rejects the recommendation of the Planning Commission in this matter, as set in said minutes, and based upon its own findings of fact, determines the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky. Section 1, the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in document 2021Z-28, is hereby changed from agricultural, stream reserve, and R1 residential to R3 residential. Section 2, this ordinance will take effect upon passage and publication required by law. Section 3, change section provision of part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be effected and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions extended or consistent herewith are hereby repealed. In first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the first day of February 2022, to begin second reading and vote upon a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 15th day of February 2022.
Thank you, Rob. At this time, anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 2022-03? Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Felicia.
Before I begin, I'd like to ask the court, what are the time limits today?
We'd like to keep them at 3 minutes unless there's questions.
So you're going to give me 3 minutes? That's all I need to know, just say yes or no.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
Uh-huh.
Before I start, I would like Mr. Hurst to be sworn. He is a co-owner and applicant, therefore he will need to testify under oath.
That'd be fine. Rob, could you do that for us, please?
Well, Judge, if you want it, just for convenience sake, if you want to swear everyone that's going to speak at one time, we can have everyone stand that's going to speak on this matter, and then swear everyone in at once, and that will save us time. Instead of having to swear everyone individually as they walk up here. So anyone that intends to speak on this case, will stand.
Yep, if you would. Okay. Thank you all.
Please raise your hand. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
Thank you.
Before I would start, I would ask your planning administrator if she would review this particular document and advise the court that that is the comprehensive plan that is used by the Bullitt County Joint Planning Commission in making recommendations for zoning.
That is correct.
And what is the date of that plan?
June 11th, 2019.
All right. With that said, I will try to get through this really quickly.
Okay.
I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to tell you what we would agree to on this development because it's very important. This development is for a multi-use facility, which means that it will have single-family homes, it will have patio homes possibly, and it would have apartments possibly. At the Planning Commission level, there was a lot of opposition to apartments. So at this point, I will tell the fiscal court and the ladies and gentlemen of the audience that here is what the applicants will do as a binding restriction if the zoning is approved. Number one, they will not develop this property without providing a turning lane on Highway 44 that will allow traffic to flow freely through from west to east, which means that they will have a turning lane to turn into this development, which is on the north side of Highway 44. They will also basically will not have any driveways other than the road, and we're hoping to service that will come out on 44. All driveways on any building built will be interior and will only have one access to the highway. Number three, they are going to utilize no more than 20% of the total property for a apartment use, 20%. They also agree that they will retain 10% of the total property as a green space. They will also develop no property that lies within the 100-year floodplain. This property does border Floyd's Fork. They also will agree to dedicate 10 feet of the property that is parallel to Highway 44 and runs the entire width of the property. And that will be for future purposes if and when the Commonwealth of Kentucky decides that they're going to actually widen Highway 44. Basically, with those said, I would then tell the court this. The comprehensive plan that we have is outdated. By law, it is required to be updated every 5 years. We're now going to 7.5 years into the last look at that comprehensive plan. So if you're relying on a plan that has not been updated, you're relying upon a document that is outdated and really not in current code with what is happening in Bullitt County. It's basically has goals and objectives. I will tell you that in researching this, goal 1, which has transportation that's supposed to be sensitive, we have done that. We are providing turn lanes. We're preventing any other homes or buildings coming out on the highway. Goal 2 should allow accessibility. Again, when we run the turning lane at our expense up 44, which is all the state has ever been doing to Bullitt County and 44 for the last 15 years, we're doing this before we start this project. Goal 3, safe transportation. We believe the turning lanes and the lack of access meets that goal as well. Number 6, site selection. You have to consider availability. At the time of the comprehensive plan, this property lies in the county. I have not asked for it to be absorbed into the city of Shepherdsville. It borders the city of Hillview. We haven't trotted out there, but we have city sewers, and this property will not be developed without city sewers. Again, that was not in the comprehensive plan. Didn't look at plan that sewers would be in this area. Long-term solution, waste disposal. Again, we're not having anything on site. It's all septic. Any waste generated other than household waste will be treated by the city of Shepherdsville. Growth and development. Basically, you want to preserve the area as best you can. There's nothing on either side of this property that is a high-density development, nor is this going to be a high-density development. It's going to be really more of a medium-density development because of the limitation on the number of apartments and probably 70 to 80 houses total on a 68-acre tract. This property has sewers, it has water, it has fire protection, it has all the things that are in goal number 8 of the comprehensive plan. Scenic resources are to be preserved according to goal 9. We are keeping any area along Floyd's Fork in its natural state. It will be a green space. It will be able to be utilized by any residents of the county as well as people who grow up and live in this development in the future. Basically, we've addressed air, water, and land resources by looking at this, providing that we will have green space, we will have buffering that will keep this property from being a nuisance or a devalue anybody else's property. There will be basically retention basins put as necessary. Water runoff, if at all possible, will be directed to Floyd's Fork because that is a natural waterway. But at all times, it will be protected with appropriate soil, erosion controls, things of that nature. Basically, the comprehensive plan has environmental strategies, it has land use strategies, and it has transportation strategies. The environmental strategy 15, 16, 18, 20, 21, 23, 25 are met in this particular project. The residential strategy 2, 3, 13, sections 2 and 3 are also met. Transportation strategy 3, 4, 5, 7, and 16 are met in this project. Based upon that testimony, I would submit to the court that this project is needed for this area. This fiscal court and every city in Bullitt County for the last 15 years has asked for growth. And we have had growth in the Shepherdsville area. I will guarantee you from that comprehensive plan to the date, we probably added 15 million square feet of industrial building in Shepherdsville alone, not counting Hillview, not counting Mount Washington. All that comes with jobs. We have to have jobs, and we do have jobs, but we also have places for workers to live. This particular development will provide housing for people who want to live in Bullitt County close to their jobs. The closer you are to the job, the less time you spend on the road. The less time you spend on the road, the less time you have traffic congestion, air pollution, and everything that goes with that. I would submit to the fiscal court that these applicants have studied this. They have made concessions that are above and beyond what most developers do, and I ask that you all would give this a favorable recommendation. One last thing I will tell you at this point, on February 10th, there is another application within probably a quarter mile of this that's going to ask for 30 acres to be multifamily, and they're looking to put 260 to 270 apartments in that 30-acre site, which is far more dense than what we're asking for today. With that said, I will sit back, but I would ask Mr. Hurst, would you adopt that statement that I've made as your testimony today?
Yes, I will.
And Mr. Harrod, for the record, you are a real estate agent?
Yes.
My statements are? Yes. Again, does Bullitt County have a need right now for housing, both apartments and homes?
Absolutely.
And would you adopt the testimony again as yours?
Yes.
I believe that's all, gentlemen.
Okay.
I've exceeded my time.
No, that's okay. I do have a question, though. When you talk about the 68 acres, and if my math is pretty good, you're going to do 13 acres for apartments, and then another 10% for green space.
Right.
And then also honoring the, what I'm going to say, the Floyd's Fork floodplain area.
The property, as most of the maps are sitting here, it borders Floyd's Fork. It has topographical features, it has hills, it has green space, it has areas that will flood, and we know that, and we are not going to get into that area except to make it a more usable green space. For the most part, it will remain natural. No structure will be built in.
And for clarity, just to help us, we don't go planning and zoning. One more question. So you're amenable and agreeable to widening 44 before you even start? Putting in a turn lane?
That is part of the project. This will not be built unless the turn lanes are approved by DOT and constructed. There will not be any homes that will be occupied until that is done. That's
Okay.
part of the deal.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Judge, I've got some questions, but I want to know if I can maybe perhaps hold them off until after all the speakers today.
Certainly.
Yep. That'd be good. Okay. Yep.
Go back to that.
Hey, John, sorry. Did the planning and zoning hear this presentation?
They heard some of this presentation, not all of it. We addressed the turning lane and planning and zoning. We addressed the facts of the topography. I think the biggest hang-up, quite honestly, at planning and zoning was they wanted to know if the whole site was going to be apartments versus a portion. And we were not in a position at that time. The two members of the LLC, one was present, the other one was not. And I think that made a probably a determining factor. But I assume, again, wrongfully so probably, that the planning commission is familiar with the comprehensive plan, familiar with the growth. We did address the growth of Shepherdsville, the massive amount of industrial space, the new employers moving in, that was all discussed. We discussed green space, turning lane. We pretty well hit on most of this.
Nobody knew what 20% of apartments were.
Well, they wanted to know if we would limit it to a specified use. At that time, we had not been far enough into the project to see what would be workable and would make it work. You know, the homes that are going to be built in there next to any apartments are homes that are going to be in the 375 to 675 range. So again, it is what it is. It is a mixed use. The homes that the developers are building now will go up to $900,000. So they're large tracts.
Do they have another development in this county?
They have Maplehurst, which is basically I think they have probably maybe 15 lots there next to the rock quarry on Bellsville Road.
Let me go ahead and ask a question before I do forget. I got a couple here. You said approximately 70, 80 houses, 20% for apartments, so that's around 13, 14 acres or so. How many apartments do you anticipate that could probably be built on that, like a ballpark number?
I would quite honestly think that there will be less than 180 units total.
180 units of apartments total, or?
Right.
Okay.
And
Would that percentage also include the patio homes? Or would that be part of the 70?
The developer this time is really not planning on building any apartment or any patio homes. They're basically looking to develop this with two entrances, both of which will have a long turning lane. So we'll probably have a half mile of 44 that's going to be 3 lane through this development. We're hoping for 2 accesses. If we get 2 access points, great. If not, you'll have 1 access point, and it will utilize the 2 different developments in there.
So your vision, just so I make sure I understand, because I'm very familiar with the property, if you're driving down 44, there'll be a turning lane, the full distance of the road frontage of this particular property per se, with 2 entrances, 1 entrance going into the homes from 375 to 675, and then another entrance into the apartment?
Quite honestly, if it works out as we hope, they will have an entrance to the far west, another entrance up toward the farther east, and if that's the case, you will have a turning lane that will start before the project and actually will go beyond the project in order to make this thing work.
Okay. The green space, would that be limited to residents only, or would other people be able to have perhaps, say, a kayak launch? Or?
No, it's 44, and the green space that's anticipated will basically have access to anybody in the development, as well as if they have friends, whatever. General public probably would be able to utilize it. We're not opening this up as a commercial green space. We're not going to build parking lots. We're not going to have boat ramps. It's basically going to be green space where people can enjoy what is there.
Okay. Do you have any idea at this point, ballpark price range for apartment units per rent?
These apartments will not be cheap.
Yeah.
They will be $1,100, $1,200 a pop.
I've got a few more, but I'll hold them off.
One more question.
Thank you.
You know where if it is proved where the apartment will be positioned on the property, would it be on 44 or back 44, but you know until you get to the site?
Well, basically, the current strategy is to go to the first entry going up 44 and turn into it. You have at that point about a 40-acre tract that is vacant. It does have about going it has on probably as the substation for KU or East Kentucky or Salt River. The apartments would be on the probably west side of the property going back. They may well end up being totally in the back of the property. Again, until the site is completely cleared, apartments, again, are not going to be that dense. They are going to be scattered out. It may well be that you would have 2 or 3 different sites for apartments that intermingle with homes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Okay, we'll start with the first one listed on the sign-in sheet for the HC development is Mr. Paul Ham. Paul, please, sir. Morning, Paul.
Obviously, the 3-minute rule doesn't apply.
On the presentation, it's just questions.
need but 3 minutes.
No, it's okay.
Listen, everything sounds very rosy, but just think of this, guys. Got Highway 44 that's really not going to be widened or anything. Turn lanes don't change the traffic patterns. They really don't. So we're going to add another 2,000 cars on that road. Who travels on that road enough to know? You guys, I know Sean probably travels on it. That's a tough road to travel on right now. And then all this development that's coming, Mount Washington and on out this way, all these housing development, it's tough. I mean, it's really tough because the county for years has not done any infrastructure, and I understand, this is my opinion. I know Highway 44 is a state road, but, you know, regardless, everybody seems to think that we'll just push it down the road, let it go, and then the infrastructure never changes. And we're growing like crazy, which is good. I'm happy with the growth. But it has to be at least paralleled with infrastructure. And we're not doing that. We're not doing that, guys. And I don't know how to change that. But to me, you know, the big deal now is when you have real estate, you talk about location, location, location. Now that we're doing this big development, we should be talking about infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. It's very, very important. And I just think that that's my big dig, is that we have a traffic problem now, and we're going to add to it over the next couple of years. A turning lane won't change that at all. That's really all I got to say. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, and Paul, to help you a little bit with the infrastructure part of it, I mean, you can go to the Kentucky Department of Transportation, and what we were left with no buns in the oven. And I'm not going to apologize for what this county's done in the past, but this administration here has pushed forward. I see a mayor out there. We have been in Frankfurt more than probably any administration's ever been. And Highway 44 is our priority. We've got $2 million approved by KIPTA for what you have to have an environmental and planning study done first before you can get a nickel. And so that study should be done before the session this time. And we broke 44 up into literally six sections. I could be mistaken on it's either 6 or 7, but to do it a piece at a time. Because those sections are anywhere from $39 to $40 million a piece. We were told point blank by the state that we weren't going to get $200 million of their $600 million budget to widen one road in one of the fastest growing communities. But we are moving forward to be able to get 44 widened, because we're never going to have an opportunity due to existing real estate holdings and private holdings to be able to build a alternate route. We've experienced that already. So I'm here to let you know that we have worked with infrastructure. We're doing 6 major water projects in this community for people who don't even have drinking water. We've also worked with the infrastructure for sewage too. Just trying to help you, and I'm here to explain that. Because 44 has been a priority, it is a priority of this administration, and we're doing our level best. Every mayor in this county has been with us to Frankfurt, and that's our #1 priority, is to get 44 widened. To some sense, from 3 to 4 to 5 lanes, depending on what opportunities are available through there.
Well,
and you're welcome to respond. I mean, if we have questions, we get to enhance the presentation, okay? And I'm not here to lecture, I'm here to help you understand that too.
And I want you to make sure you understand, I'm not being critical of the county, okay? I'm just saying this is something that really has gotten out of control, in my opinion. And we seem to put it off to the next administration, and it just keeps going. And to me, I know I travel up and down 44 all the time. I've seen the change. My family has owned this property since 1960.
Right.
So I've seen the changes. And again, I'm not opposed to growth, but man, there has to be some kind of balance. And that's all I'm saying, Jerry. I mean, I know at one time we looked at an outer loop or some other way. You get caught on 44, it's tough. I mean, you'd have to go all the way back around to Gene Snyder and come back around again. I mean, it's just insane. And it's not going to get any better, if you know what I mean, because of all the growth. And again, I'm not against growth. So anyway, that's all I needed.
And I'm just wanting to understand, Paul, where we stand as an administration and what we've done. It's like with the bad weather coming in, we have put salt in Mount Washington. We have put salt also in Nichols. So we don't have to travel 44, come all the way back here to pick up the resources. So we understand 44, but I do want you to understand, and those in this room, that 44 is a priority of us, and this is what we are working for. We're not insane about it because we've gotten funding for it, and we'll see how it all shakes out with the legislators this time.
Well,
Does that help you, Paul, a little bit? I'm not being critical of your comments. I want you to understand where we're at with it, too.
Okay. Well, I appreciate y'all's time. Very much.
Thank you, Paul.
All right.
There you go. Mr. Reedland?
First of all, let me thank you guys for allowing me to speak here.
Yes, sir.
I don't disagree with the gentleman, my predecessor. 44 is a serious problem. And it has been for several years now. But what I don't understand is, I understand the gentleman wants to develop that property. And I think it'd be a serious mistake. Number one, if I were going to build this structure here or a house, I would put the foundation down first. I mean, how can you put all those people in that property and we can't accommodate them? We just can't. At the last meeting, they said they had a sewer agreement. They were going to hook into St. Andrews Crossing. I have a question there. Does their property adjoin St. Andrews Crossing? I don't know. But if it doesn't, how are they going to get across somebody else's property to hook that sewer up? You know, I mean, I just had a few valid points, and like I said, I don't disagree with them. I mean, you got to have a foundation before you build a house. And without the infrastructure there to handle this facility, it may just be time. You know, I'm all for growth just like everybody else. Over on Buckman Street, it's 4-lane. They put all them subdivisions in. That was great. There's no traffic over there like 44, not even in rush hour. But the other evening, I left Walmart, and I live on Foster Lane, which is about 5 miles. It took me an hour to get home. You move there, your speedometer's not even moving. You know, you're barely, I could have walked home faster. But at any rate, that's the only point I want to make. I just think their timing is off. I would be all for them. You know, if Highway 44 were 4-lane, it'd be great. If the sewers run out there to them, that'd be great. But all that hadn't happened. And they wouldn't think of building one of them houses without putting the foundation down first. How they can facet doing this is beyond my comprehension. But that's the only point I wanted to make. I just saw somebody need to say it, and I believe it's timing. But I appreciate the opportunity.
Mr. Reedland, we appreciate you being here too, because it's citizens like you all who makes differences and opportunities to happen.
Well, thank you.
And we can sure use your support with our state legislators to help push Highway 44 as well.
I have no problem with that at all. I'm retired. You need somebody to go up there and mouth off at him, I'm your man.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I'm not bashful.
We appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Smith. Good morning.
Hi. I'm not well rehearsed, but I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
I think this whole thing is just premature. They've not prepared a site plan due to the expense, which I think is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. A site plan costs about $15,000, and I think the effect on our community is going to be so detrimental that that's essential that we know what they're putting in without guesstimates and juxtaposes. That's wonderful that they're considering the environment, but we have a lot of wildlife over there that runs back and forth between Floyd's Fork and Salt River. And, you know, we've got an abundance of turkeys. At one point, I've had 40 turkeys in my yard. And, you know, back in the 30s, they were hunted near extinction in Kentucky. So, you know, saying that's not going to affect the wildlife is just a joke. And, if, you know, I'm sure there's probably sawgrass over there. And, you know, that's going to limit the nesting sites and such for all the abundant wildlife that we have. I'm perplexed as to who would want to buy a $350,000 to $675,000 house that's near some apartments. That's really puzzling to me. I don't think it's retaining the neighborhood character. I think it's going to put a drain on our community resources. And that's all I have.
Well, is it Ava?
Ava.
Ava, gotcha. Well, we appreciate your time.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for the concerns about the turkeys and our wildlife, okay? Roanne?
Good morning.
Morning.
Well,
Been a
I
while.
live directly across the street from this property. I think it's going to affect our area greatly. There have been no zoning changes in our area since 2011, and that was to a commercial property, which is where John Thompson has his business, the security business. My concern is schools. Our schools are getting overloaded now. Where are we going to put these kids? They're going to have to redistrict. I'd just soon see a school built on that property as apartments. I'm not against having homes over there, but I think they should be R1 size property. That's what low density is. That's what the area is called for. There's not been any significant changes to the area. And that's one of the things you all have to consider when you make your decision today. Nothing's changed in that area. Not to R3. Down the road, maybe yes, but not in this adjoining particular area. And I've lived there for 40 years, and Highway 44's been on the plan for 10 years. It was on the plan for 10 years when I moved there. There was not all this construction and subdivision. They didn't do anything then. They haven't done anything in 40 years. So what makes me think that they're going to do something in the next 40 years? I've been to those KIPTA meetings. I've been to plenty of KIPTA meetings. I've seen where they've put money aside for things that have never happened. And Jerry, you can say that you all have been to Frankfurt, and I appreciate that you go to Frankfurt. I appreciate that you are trying to do something to Highway 44. But you cannot put all these houses, and if I'm going to pay $1,500 a month for an apartment, I'm sure well going to buy a house. I'm not going to live in an apartment. Now, I don't know who you think's going to afford in Bullitt County to pay $1,500 for an apartment. I don't know who they think's going to pay $1,500 for an apartment. I would rather see all houses and no apartments. You cannot keep throwing traffic onto Highway 44. Miss Lisa here has watched people die in her front yard several times a year. Right there at the corner of Watergate and 44. People have a hard time getting out of Watergate. I have a hard time getting out of my driveway. Sometimes I have to wait 5 minutes or more to get out of my driveway. You'll have to think about this stuff. You just can't keep pushing stuff and pushing stuff and pushing stuff. You've got to plan. And this is not planning. This is not planning at all. Get Highway 44 fixed, and you can put all the subdivisions you want in. But you can't keep doing this. My grandson goes to Pleasant Grove Elementary. When we pick him up, we have to go and we have to park in a subdivision that's behind Pleasant Grove Elementary and wait until it's time to pull in and pick him up. Then you can't hardly get out on 44. Have they put a traffic light at Bogard Lane? and Lloyd's Lane to protect these children? Heck, no. They don't care. Nobody cares. They just want to build, 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 make more money, make more money. Please think about this. It does not meet the comprehensive plan, no matter what John says. It does not meet the fact that there's been any zoning changes in the area, because there have not been. And it does not work for Highway 44. Now, granted, someone down the road is wanting to put in more apartments. If you let that happen, then y'all just need to find a different job.
Thank you. That was, Mark Richardson?
Thank you, gentlemen, for your service, and ladies as well. I want to kind of go back here just a little bit, if I may. The Bullitt County Joint Planning Commission held a public hearing on September the 9th. We all know how many people are on that board itself. On September the 9th, the Bullitt County Joint Planning Commission recommended that this request be denied. It wasn't a split. It was unanimous that this be denied from the testimonies that were given that evening. Rand has brought up quite a bit of things. I can understand if I was an attorney, I would like to make things rosy, nice for my clients. But what hurts me is when somebody can come in here and upset my livelihood. I live a quarter mile from this property. And the crime that we're going to be getting, I haven't heard any word on crime yet, that's going to increase, as it already is in this county. As we all know, 44, to me that's a beating a dead horse. I've worked for the county here, retired with 34 years in emergency services, been to several physical court meetings. It's a great topic. And it gets people excited because we want to see 44 expanded, take some of the pressure off of 44. Like Roanne says, trying to pull out on 44 today could take you anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. I timed myself here last week, and it was 6, just to make a turn. There was a mention of sewers. In that area, we don't have sewers. We're all septic. It's got to be tapped in somewhere. St. Andrew's Crossing is the closest tap in for that. You put construction work on 44, gentlemen, we're going to have problems. It's a bad situation. We do not need it. We've got a green space already there. It's my hope that this court will follow the recommendation of planning and zoning. They see the problems, they know the problems, and it's my hope that you all will follow through with their recommendation as well. I'll entertain any questions that you may have for me. If nothing, thank you, gentlemen, ladies, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Karen Jo Blingwell.
Good morning.
Morning.
Ladies, gentlemen,
neighbors, and interested parties, I thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning in opposition to the proposed rezoning of this particular piece of property. As I have said, my name is Karen Jo Bleemel. I live on 44, approximately a half a mile from this property under consideration. And you've already heard all the wonderful and compelling reasons that this rezoning request needs to be denied. There is no issue more important than the fact that we have traffic congestion and road safety issues in that area. There is drainage and sanitation issues. There will be a likely need for school redistricting brought on by overdevelopment, and of course the wildlife and environmental impacts. True development is thoughtfully planned to enhance the community, and it fulfills a purpose. This development does neither of those things. With all that said, let me briefly speak in regard to an often forgotten and overlooked party, and that's the existing landowners and the residents of the area. Most of our residents have called this area home for a while. There is not a great deal of turnover. In fact, many homes in this area have had only one or two owners. We are a community, spread out as we are, but we are neighbors who look out for each other. And we have a rural feel. We have open spaces, we have room to enjoy our properties, our outdoor enjoyments, the wildlife, and the peaceful quiet that we associate with home. And I know that's part of the reason I call it home. I am a lifelong resident of 44. Like many others, I became a homeowner with the passing of my parents. I could have sold out and moved anywhere I chose, but I chose to remain there because with all the benefits and liabilities of living on 44, it is my home. Why do you live where you live? And what values do you value? My community and my home, they answer those important questions for me. If you allow this overdevelopment of our rural community, the very character that makes our area desirable will be forever changed, and with it, the way that we live. Please show that you value our choices by denying this zoning request. I thank you for your attention, and please give it thoughtful consideration.
Thank you, Joanne. Karen Jo, thank you. James, I can't read your last name, I'm sorry. Mindat. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies. Appreciate the opportunity to talk this morning. So I think we've had some really compelling arguments, both sides. I like to deal in reality. We all wish 44 were widened. We've wished it for decades. Reality is, we are where we are. If you live in the Tollview, Sunview, the early parts off 65 on 44, this doesn't affect you. If you live where we live, it's an immediate effect. So while you guys are making this decision, I would ask you, what would you do if this were your backyard? I have children that go to local schools. I can live anywhere in this metro area I want. I chose to live here, and there's a reason. We just heard that it's peaceful, there's open space. We can be as loud as we want and not offend our neighbors. That doesn't happen in subdivisions, and that doesn't happen with apartments. I've lived in all. So the school redistricting, selfishly, why should I be impacted? I have no offense to these gentlemen wanting to make money. That's what we all get up and go to work for, provide for our families. This is the impact to the region, to the community. I found it interesting that we have a study that's outdated by 2 or 3 years that we can't go by, but then 3/4 of the arguments by John were based upon the old survey. So only lawyers and politicians can equate that on both sides. It's like arguing the term of is. What is. The traffic's been talked about. In my personal world, I have to act as a fiduciary. It means I have to do the best thing regardless of how it affects me for my clients. I would recommend that we are your clients. Is this best for us? I know it's best for them. So you have to vote your conscience on that. I think the traffic, it usually takes me 3 to 5 minutes just to make a left turn off of Watergate. Right turn's not too bad. But the Gallers are selling their property in between this property and St. Andrews. We know they want apartments there. That's going to add hundreds, if not thousands of cars. This development would add 500 to 1,500 cars, just basic math. What the hell are we going to do, guys and ladies? I mean, that's an unbearable amount of traffic. Mount Washington keeps building and building, and they want to get to 65, they come our way. So if we had the infrastructure, fine. Lastly is, if you work in a factory job here, let's say you make 20 bucks an hour, you're making 40 grand a year gross, you net out maybe 30-ish, you're going to spend almost the entire amount of that job just to pay rent. What about utilities? What about food? What about cars? What about insurance? That's not a realistic argument in my opinion. R3 is what it should be. I would support that wholeheartedly. Apartments is a joke and I don't want it. Thank you for your time and consideration. Any questions?
Thank you.
R1, I'm sorry, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, just wanted to be clear, James. Thank you all so much. And at this time, we will, I want to thank all of y'all for your passionate remarks. And the next court meeting is the 15th, and that's when the court will vote on it.
When I come in here, I came here an hour and a half early to sign that paper. I was the second one in line.
This was about the development?
No,
No, this is about,
I was told here by Tom Barr to come here that y'all would hear me out, so.
We've got other speakers on the topics.
Right.
This is just on this topic.
this is just on this
Are you
one
here to
topic.
speak on this topic?
No.
Okay, yeah, we'll open it up for other people.
Today?
Yes,
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
yep,
we'll listen to you.
yep.
All right, I was thinking y'all would have me up.
Let me ask one question real quick, because it got brought up several times. John, what is the plan for that sewer hookup? Is it to tie in currently to St. Andrews? I know several people brought that up as a question, so maybe we can answer that.
The tie-in on, I'm going to drop this. This is my, what I
Testimony.
read to court. I'll read it. As I'm doing this, I will advise you that the closest connection, and the people are exactly, and we did address this at the plant owner, would be St. Andrews Crossing. But the sewer line that will be developed will not be in 44. It would be basically in the right-of-way off of 44. So it's not going to cut 44 or stop traffic. It will go through and connect to St. Andrews Crossing.
But to answer that gentleman's question, I mean, there's a right-of-way off of 44, and they'd be using that easement, so.
What will happen, the engineers are still working this, the city engineers, the Presnell Associates are working it. It will not be in the road, it will be over to the, I'm going to get my bearings straight, north side of 44 is where the sewer line will go. It will not be, and again, nobody has addressed it tonight, we answered it, but this property is at this time will not be part of Shepherdsville. This will be a county project, not a city project. The sewers will be done by the city, but anybody that this sewer line passes will not be required to cap on. So we're not doing this to cause anybody any financial loss or force them to do something differently than what they already have. Okay. To answer that question. Any other questions before I depart?
Go ahead, Roy.
I have a question. You say it's going to be in the right of way. You said it won't affect Highway 44. It's going to affect Highway 44 if they're, yes, it will, John.
No, it's going to be in the right of way, not in the blacktop. It is in the.
Yeah, but they're still going to have to.
No, they will not be on 44 putting the sewer line.
They'll be in your front yard.
Probably close to the front yard with the coast. People seem to think that if I own a lot on 44, I own to the blacktop. You do not. You own to your property line, and we will not be on anybody's property. They do not have the right to do that. They will have to be in the right of way in the grass area.
Understood. I do want to point out, if some of you all seen Mr. Mitchell leave, keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's his wife's younger brother passed away, so he had to leave to go to a funeral. So just so if somebody's seen him get up and leave in the middle of this, some of these conversations, he said he'd go back and watch it, on film, but he did have to leave for his wife's brother's funeral. So I want to point that out for him.
Okay, thank you, Sean.
One other question real quick.
John just said that the work will be done on the right of way. I'm not aware, how wide is the right of way on a state road?
I'd have to see, usually it's like 60 feet or something, maybe.
60 feet from the center line or something?
Yes, sir.
30.
30 on one
It's 30. Right, it's 30 feet.
They've got probably 15, 20 feet off the side of the road to work on and going in front of anybody's yard. I mean, it's 30 feet, I think, from the center line each way, but correct me if I'm wrong, approximately on a state road, maybe.
Without looking after.
But they would stay within that. It happened.
Where it is, some places it's more, it depends on when they purchased it and what they got to the end, so.
Well, it's gonna be hard for them to operate a backhoe.
Well, they do I'm not defending them on this by any means, but they do that all the time. I mean, with utilities and
What
pipelines.
happens when they widen 44 with those sewers that they're gonna put in that spot? That seems to be the logical spot to widen it. What occurs at that point?
That's a big question. That's
They need to decide where we're gonna go.
they go over top, it exists anytime they widen a road, that's always an issue anywhere you go, so I don't know, I can't answer that, but.
Well, the reason 44 is here, if you want to know what the thing is the reason it's not wide enough. They didn't buy enough easements, so they didn't make it wide enough, didn't think it would impact anybody. So the reason it is not wide enough is because they have to purchase a lot of the homes down up and down through there. It's over $1 billion before you get from one end to other.
And that opens up a whole nother question. A lot of you individuals live on that road and are arguing that you would like to see 44 widen, but then you're going to have to sell your house. I mean, that's what it boils down to in a lot of cases.
We don't want to see it widen.
Yeah, I know, but that was some argument that 44 get widened. It's a challenge, it really is. We're working on it in sections. And I will say, to echo what the judge said earlier, as far as this administration, we've eliminated a lot of debt that's created some money to put up. I know the state's always required some skin in the game. I mean, it's not going to be a 44 wide and all the way down, but we're looking at sections, and there's actually money to put up now because some of the debt's been eliminated so that they can take it serious. And Keith can tell you a lot more specifics about that, but maybe we'll save that to the end of the meeting and talk about, if anybody's around here, about some, so we can get on with our schedule, but talk about some of the things with 44. I know Keith's very up to date on that.
Go ahead.
I have one more question. If they're going to put that turning lane in preceding the subdivision they're intending to build, then how are they going to stay in that building line and put their sewer in? They're adding a whole other lane in the middle or wherever. So it's going to be essentially 3 lanes wide. Well, a lane's what, 8 feet?
10 or 12.
10?
Yeah, at least 12.
So if they go 10 over, they're going to have a 15-foot variance to get the sewer.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm a developer, I would think maybe the sewer line could stop as soon as it hit the property, then go a different direction, so it wouldn't follow the whole Highway 44. I mean, it could just me. You can ask them; they're here. But if there's a sewer line going, I bought a piece of property, I'd stop at that piece of property and go at an angle or something into the property. So they could stop at the very point of the property, probably. But I don't. John, can you answer that question? Because this is the opportunity for discussion. We'll be voting on this next meeting. So as you.
There is a second plan for sewers if they don't go down 44. And it would be to the rear of the property.
Concrete.
Closer to 44.
Yes, ma'am.
Not in the creek.
I live right there. My house faces Highway 44. I've watched accident after accident after accident. I've had people die in my front yard. I see ambulance all day long. It's dark on that road at night. You can't see.
Right.
My road at Watergate is so narrow, people have to back up to let people turn in. You can't see over the hillside. They're talking about putting subdivisions over there. I don't understand the concept. It just makes sense to do something about the road and then address that situation. Y'all talking about septics and sewers, and it's like, if you address the situation with the road, that would probably solve a lot of the problems. problems.
Right.
But why put in a septic system and then go back and redo it and redo it? I just feel like, a lot of money is just wasted because, oh, well, let's do this, and then they go back and change it. Putting turning lanes isn't gonna fix anything. It's not gonna fix, because like I said, you come out, it's a hillside like that, coming off Watergate. You can't see that direction. You can barely see that direction because the way the road curves. Putting in turn lanes isn't gonna help anything. But y'all explain, if you approve that, explain it to all the families that's been in accidents up and down that road. And like I said, the wildlife deers go back and forth and they're like crazy. And there's times I've gone in my front yard just to try to scare them back to the field behind me.
Right.
Just to prevent accidents. I just think it's a bad idea.
Okay.
Address the road first.
All right, and
You said the state doesn't have our back for 44, they're not gonna whack.
Yeah, that's-
So why have to?
If I may, just respectfully, the testimony's been taken, the people that signed up, spoke, were sworn in, now we're getting comments from people that weren't sworn in, that didn't sign up. They shouldn't consider any of that because that was not testimony on the record. If there's questions they have and people can answer, that's fine, but to start having additional people presenting comments that weren't sworn in and part of the record, that's not fair to the applicants, that's not fair to anybody else, and that's something that they should not consider in making their decision. So if you weren't sworn in, you weren't, right now it's the time for them to ask questions. Otherwise, Judge probably need to move on to any other questions before.
okay. Thank you, Counselor. Do y'all have any other questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right, moving on.
Can I make a comment really quick? The other property that is to the west of it for the callers,
They're withdrawn.
they withdrew
Right.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Their
so
application.
there is no application for the other development. Number 2, first reading public hearing of zoning ordinance 2022-04, R&W Warehousing LLC. Felicia.
This is Planning Commission docket 2022Z-05. The owner applicant is R&W Warehousing LLC. They're asking to rezone from agricultural to IL light industrial at 2385 North Preston Highway. This is 9.42 acres more or less, and the purpose is to bring the property into zoning compliance for a contractor, storage yard, and office. The comprehensive plan shows commercial. The Bullitt County Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 13th, 2022, and based on that testimony, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends the zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to Bullitt County Fiscal Court. The zoning change is in agreement with the Bullitt County Comprehensive Plan.
Okay. Bob?
The first reading of Common Kentucky County Bullitt zoning ordinance number 22-4. An ordinance relating to change of zoning of certain property from agricultural to IL light industrial. The property in question is 9.42 acres more or less, located at 2385 North Preston Highway in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County, the public hearing held the Joint Planning Commission, and the recommendation of the Commission, the information provided in staff report, the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held at the Fiscal Court. Whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in, adopts the reading of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves or accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter, without said minutes. In terms of the proposed zoning change, acceptable should be approved. Now therefore be ordained by the Fiscal Court, County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, more particularly described in the minutes of records of the Planning Commission, document number 2022Z-05, this hereby changed from agricultural to IL light industrial. Section 2, this ordinance takes effect upon passage and publication required by law. Section 3, issuing such provision requires the ordinance to be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, and the may this ordinance shall be effective, shall make full force of effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to extend their inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Again, the first reading of public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the first day of February 2022. Begin a second reading and vote upon a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 15th day of February 2022.
Thank you, Rob. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 2022-04, R&W Warehousing LLC? Anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 2022-04, R&W Warehousing LLC? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Number 3, want the court to surplus and donate the animal transport box to the city of Mount Washington. We have 2 new ones coming that are climate controlled for the transportation of for our animal control group.
I'll make a motion that we surplus and donate the animal transport box to the city of Mount Washington. This is really something kind of exciting. I know Mayor's here and Lori. Right now, Mount Washington, they utilize an individual for, animal control, and they, if an animal within Mount Washington area, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but if an animal in Mount Washington area is caught, captured, is loose, then they'll transport that in a truck, and they've got kind of a kennel that they put back in the truck. So we are upgrading our trucks. We went into agreement with the enterprise, so we've got several new trucks over at Animal Control, which is exciting. But they've also ordered 2 boxes that'll be in the back of those trucks that are heated and cooled. So if a dog is picked up now, it's going to be climate controlled. So that'll be good for the summer and winter. It's a really nice feature. But the box that we got on there is a really nice box. So I know that Tony had talked to you all over there about possibly utilizing that, and we've done a lot of other agreements with the city of Mount Washington. So I think that's a great gesture, and it'd be a good way to keep things down, because they do a good job, Mount Washington, working with our animal control. So I'll make a motion that we approve that.
Okay. Got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by 4th District Magistrate Rayhill to donate our surplus animal transport animal transport box to the city of Mount Washington. Thank you, Mayor. Candace, call a roll, please.
Mr. Rayhill?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Loxton?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Thank you. At this time, there's an attached sheet. As you know, we have stationed permanent ambulances in Lebanon Junction and also over at Nichols. But what we are finding out is that FEMA offers quite the stipend, and they have some of our employees, our good full-time employees, have taken the stipend from FEMA, and Eric, here, please correct me if I'm misspoken, but they offer them a $9,000 to $10,000 a month bonus to go out, plus salary, to go out in the different parts of the country and work from. So we continue to lose, we used to lose employees to the fire departments, and when we did competitive wages, that has just about stopped. But now at this time, we need to start to refill our coffers as these folks continue to go to work for FEMA, and they're staying as part-time employees, so when this opportunity is over, they'll be able to come back. But we are close to 25 employees short right now, due to the addition of the 2 new ambulances that we've put on, as well as the continued offerings by FEMA. And there's an attached list. With them, there's 4 EMTs and 2 part-time paramedics. And we can go through the names, or we can just submit the list. Either way, it's up to the members of the court. But I will make the motion to hire them all.
Second.
Got a second by both 2nd and 4th District Magistrates Logsdon and Rayhill. Any other discussion, members of the court? Hearing none, Candace, call the roll, please.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Loxton?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rayhill?
Yes.
And the effective date is today. Also at this time, we approved the purchase of a side-by-side for emergency management and our EMS service. We need the court to make a approval to the treasurer to make payment for both the Polaris side-by-side and the trailer upon arrival. And I will make that motion for both action items 5 and 6.
I'll second that motion.
I got a second by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon. Any other questions, members of the court?
Just a question, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Is that price that we agreed on last quarter?
Yes, it sure is. Sure is. Candace, Candace, call the roll in.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes. Number 7, most of y'all have visited and Walter, welcome to present this and explain it. I went over and saw it, and I'm hoping some of the other magistrates did too.
Judges, you all, back in 2003, 6, whichever, when we got the new courthouse prepared up and built, and this facility that we're in now, the design of the sheriff's office was such that currently anybody that needs to have a conference with any member of the public that needs to have a conference or a meeting with the sheriff or one of the detectives or one of the sheriff's deputies or anyone for anything, whether it be a civil or a criminal investigation matter, they have to come through either the back door straight into the squad bay, or they come through the side, a private entrance that's right across the lobby here into the squad bay, or they have to come right through the front tax receipt office. And they have to come back, and they have to come back computers and various others and sundry things that we have to keep hidden because of FBI protocol and agreements that we have regarding CourtNet and Link NCIC and so forth. What we have requested is there's a room that is right off the lobby of the sheriff's office that does not have a public door or doesn't have a door to it from the lobby. We have a proposal, and it'll come out of the sheriff's office budget, but we want to cut a door in that wall and utilize that room, which used to be used as a supply room, but when you all provided us with that additional facility at which we refer to as the Special Operations Facility over on Saltwell, we have been able to move those supplies to that facility, and now we can take and create a conference room off of the lobby out of that, what used to be a supply room. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're requesting. I think each of you have received what the cost is going to be, but the cost will be borne out of our budget, but I wanted you to know what it is, and we're prepared to go forward with it, but felt we needed to get your okay because we're going to structurally change that wall in the courthouse. Mm-hmm. It's not a load-bearing wall or anything of that nature, though. Any questions?
Well, I'll make a comment. From what I understand is we're going to reuse one of the doors there too.
That's correct.
So it keeps the cost down, and also the space is available for those who have tax questions as well. To enhance your presentation a little bit, Sheriff.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the request for proposed modification to the sheriff's office.
Second.
And I got a second. I got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by 4th District Magistrate Rayhill to approve the sheriff's request to add a door to the existing room. And Candace, call roll.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Logsdon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Sign-in sheet, Bill Roy, your name's on the top, and I'll rule you next. Okay? Sorry about it, but it's
I actually come here an hour and a half early, thinking I get on the first and get in here and get out here and ride.
There you go.
Maybe it's warmer if you're riding it.
Okay.
I like the weather.
Gentlemen, I appeared before this body, different magistrates, 36 years ago. My request was that you develop some type of merit system for county employees. Apparently it hadn't been done, but there's no time in the last 30 years that's been more apparent that we need that than it is right now. This getting rid of all employees every time a county official changes not only hurts the employees, it hurts the county taxpayers. You got to pay the unemployment, pay to train a new person. And that's my request, that y'all consider working up some kind of a system where a new official comes in and can't fire all the employees. that hadn't happened in many years, but it happened 3 years ago. Now we're in the process of trying to train people in the 4th year of a 4-year term. If they get trained this year, then a new official comes in, he can sweep them all out. You lost your money you spent training them, you lost your unemployment, and it's just not a good system for employees, and it's certainly not a good system for the county taxpayers. It costs you a lot of money every time it happens, and there's no reason for it to happen. Anybody in this room could have went in that jail and ran that jail if they'd have kept the people in there that had 20 years experience. But that didn't happen, so now we got a jailer crying because he's got 25 green employees. Anybody ask him whose fault that is? He's got green employees. But my request is for the county employees and for the taxpayers that you all think about that and consider working up some kind of a merit system where you don't get rid of the employees every time you change county officials.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Avita?
Yes, sir. I would like to, if I may, show y'all this picture. Can I walk past y'all and show it to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, 2 pictures. This and that. You see all that garbage? All that fire, garbage? I'm a low-income person, right? I used to have one of the prettiest places up there on the hill. Everybody always said they used to call it Ovita's Oasis.
There you go.
Little oasis. Because I used to have rose garden planted around this place. Right? What was it? 2 years ago, my yard caught a fire all the way around my fence, burned all my roses out.
Right.
Every year, I know, walk for 5 or 6 years. I gotta not sleep at nights because you don't know who's gonna set your house on fire. What next drunk or next drug addict up there is gonna set my house on fire with me in it? How many times, I mean, you call zone fire department, how many times has zone fire department went up there in that lot next to me and set out, or put out the fire? The whole hillside caught fire, my shed caught fire, burned everything I had in the shed in my backyard caught fire. Every time there's a drug addict or a drunk living in a tent or in a camper, and there's all kinds of campers up there. You know what this guy does for a living? He goes out, he hauls garbage in that somebody gives him a few dollars for so he can buy him his next fix and throw the garbage right out there in the yard. Then we got dogs running all over the place. I've gotten where I don't care about my place. I can't wait to get out of there. I've been praying to get out of there. Because I'm telling you, I ain't had sleep because of the constant noise. He's over there cranking motorcycles, always walking up and down the road talking to himself. Or he's got a generator there loud enough to wake the dead that goes on day and night. Now I doubt any of that, I'll be hearing any more of that since he set his place on fire. But he had 2 propane tanks at his camper that he was living in. That had they exploded, I got a 2,500 gallon tank over there, could have blown that hillside up. And I feel like nobody cares because I have called many of you. I'm not going to point fingers, but I have called many of you. And everybody, I hear the same thing, there's nothing we can do. I've called the health department. Wouldn't there be something wrong with somebody throwing feces and stuff in the grass, and having raw garbage out there in the yard, and garbage flying up in my yard? Well, how many of y'all would put up with that one day? One day next to you? Please, do something before I go plumb insane because I ain't had sleep in weeks. And how many of us going to get mad because they know that I'm fighting to get them out of there? I'm going to set my house on fire. They done poisoned one of my dogs, and I know they did. You know, I had an autopsy, that was done a few years back. Had an autopsy done. Yep, dog was poisoned. But how can you prove who did it? You know, people, I know I'm poor. I don't need nobody telling me that. I know I am. You know, I didn't have much of an education. I come from a family of 15. But what little I got, I'd like to keep. And my sanity is part of what I'd love to keep. Please do something. Go up there and do something at all. I can't even ride a motorcycle down the road without sometimes, which I called you at one time, and you was sweet enough to go out there and do something about it. But, you know, do I got you on fast call? No. I can't call you every time, and I don't want to. Every time a dog goes after me, or flies out underneath it, and I love to ride a motorcycle, calms my nerve, wind therapy, love it. But who wants to go down the road and have a dog every time? I ran over a dog once. You know how many dogs have been killed on that road? We're coming down there. I know that there's people up there that pays taxes that just wants a decent, you know, what they can afford to live life. I got neighbors that do care. I got a neighbor where, oh, I got children. His place, when that hillside caught fire, he was fearful for his children. And you know what it was? It was a man living in a tent that nobody could do nothing about. I even called a fire department when he set the fire. It was 12 foot high right there by the wood during a no-burn time. You know, but I called a fire department, don't come out there and laughed with him and left him and left the fire. And then I called, why didn't y'all put the fire out? He's drunk, he's living in a tent there, but what is wrong with it? You know, this county about stuff like that. Why don't they care about us? I vote for y'all. I voted for many of y'all. I campaigned for some of them. Don't I care? Don't I matter? Huh?
Yes,
Thank
you do.
I love you
Yes, you
all.
do.
I mean, I love many of you. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Let me get my stuff.
Thanks,
Like I
Alita.
said, I ain't had sleep in weeks.
Don't leave just yet, but have you've talked to some of us up here about this, and some of y'all aware of what she's talking about, I guess?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We chatted last week. I sent Larry and the
We need to
deputy
get rid
sheriff up
of
there.
all the people that's living in tents and campers and stuff, because all they're doing is buying and selling drugs. I have rode my motorcycle. You can smell when people cook meth. You can smell when you marijuana. I tell you what, you want to find some marijuana meth? Get a motorcycle and ride around. You'll smell it. You'll smell it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, living back there,
Yeah.
ones that's living in these campers that's flies by the seat of your pants type people, that's all they care about is that next fix.
Right.
You know, live as cheap as they can, throw the garbage down, and get that next fix. You know, and you know, I raised my 2 kids and 3 others that I took custody of in that house. I took care of my mother in that house. I wish to God I can get out of there, and I'm working on it. But until then, I just want some sleep. I want to be able to go to sleep and not worry about this guy coming over and burning my house down over top of my head. I don't think that should be much for anybody to ask for, you know?
Right.
I want to be protected. I want my neighbors to be protected. The guy's got the sweet little kids down the road that comes and helps me every once in a while. I can't imagine one of the drug addicts one of these days coming over and burning that hillside down and them kids catching a fire. I'm looking, the guy in the tent almost set himself on fire in the tent, remember?
Yep.
You know, there's got to be something done. Please, y'all. I mean, I was going to come up there and act like a big shot demand, because I'm so tired. Like, demand, do something. Tell me now. What are you going to do? I'm not going to do that. Please just put your head together and figure something out.
Okay.
You know, figure something out. There's no reason we have to live like that up there. I know I'm poor, but I do vote. And I do pay taxes. I should be a human too, you know, and treated as such.
You are.
Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alita. Okay. Perry Cook.
Gentlemen of the court and ladies and gentlemen of Bullitt County, my name is Perry Cook. I'm the executive director of Mark 12 Ministries. We operate the White Flag Homeless Shelter, as well as Room in the Inn, Pathway Home programs here, addressing homelessness in our county. I wanted to start with just a few questions for the magistrates and for the community. We got a winter storm coming up this week. They're saying that it could be like the ice storm in 09, and since we didn't renew the contract for Red Cross, and the first time in 103 years Red Cross isn't in Bullitt County because their office is now part of the sheriff's office. If You're homeless. If your electric goes out, where are you going to go? Where are we going to go? Do we have a place set up for those that are homeless during the ice storm, or power goes out in the trailer park? Anything? We put a plan together at Mark 12, but I just want to see if there was a plan in place in the county. Okay. Next question. When a state detainee, I love Paul, gets transferred here to the detention center, and let's just say they're from Mount Sterling and they're a sex offender, and they get released from the detention center and no one comes to pick them up from Mount Sterling, where does that detainee go? They get released from the detention center, no one's picked them up. Where do they go? They come right up here to Shepherdsville. They sleep in our park. Or they sleep underneath the awning here, or they go to Mount Washington, or they go up to Hillview. They're homeless. So far in the last 3 months, we've been able to get sex offenders, violent crime offenders. We've been that gatekeeper as Mark 12 Ministries because they're homeless, and we come across them, we begin to minister to them, and we get them to where they're from so that they're not on our streets. They're not sitting in our library with your kids, right? But again, we don't have a shelter. Last question. When a homeless person, or let's say 3 to 6 homeless people get COVID, they test positive, where do they quarantine at? They test positive. I'm asking. Well, thank God Shepherdsville stepped up. So we had an outbreak of COVID. I think Judge will remember I sent an email on the 25th that we had an outbreak of COVID among our homeless community. It almost turned into a super spreader event because at the White Flag Shelter, we had a bunch of detainees come from the detention center that were COVID positive when they got released. And thank God they came to the shelter that night, because where were they heading? Where do you think they were going to go the next day? Anyone? Where they were going to go the next day? They were going to head to the library. They were going to head to Walmart to stay warm. Guys, we need a shelter. So on October 21st, I was here at Fiscal Court, and one of our magistrates said we don't need a homeless shelter in our community. And I beg to differ. I beg to differ. We've been operating Room in the Inn now, which was funded by this court primarily for 5 years up until last year. We took on Room in the Inn on November 1st. We had been operating it with Mark 12's budget. We have been running now the White Flag Shelter for 35 days. We've been open every single night since January 2nd. Again, I'm so grateful for the city of Shepherdsville to step up to the plate and prevent a super spread event from COVID. If we would have had our homeless population, which we've served over 40 individuals this winter, and they would have gone to the library where your kids go, or they would have went to Walmart or Kroger's where you shop, they would have spread COVID, because, by the way, they don't wear masks. They're not vaccinated. We have a 45% vaccination rate for the population. We have a 12% homeless vaccination rate, which is the worst in the state. We're working to combat that right now at Mark 12 Ministries. So really, I just wanted to kind of let you guys know what's going on with the ministries. We're trying to be a stopgap. Our only concern is not just the homeless and impoverished. Like the young lady who just talked here, There's people living in tents throughout our entire community. I know that we want to continue to say that we do not have a homeless problem. Every city council meeting that I go to, every time I've been to fiscal court for the last 4 years, since I've started this ministry, we have said we do not have a homeless problem. Gentlemen and ladies, I implore to you now, we are the only county that touches Jefferson County without a shelter, without resource center. We're the only county. We need to get a shelter. Mark 12 is trying our hardest, operating in areas where churches allow us to operate with the Room and Inn program. And now at the Shepherdsville Community Center, we have that for a limited time. I just see that we can spend 35 grand on a Polaris. I think I could have got it cheaper, but we spent 35 grand on the Polaris, and I understand there's important things we need to invest in a shelter. We need to invest in the community, not just for those who are impoverished and not those who are just homeless, but also for our community. If I did not engage those sex offenders when they got out of the jail, they're going to be sleeping in tents next to our schools. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a line of defense. And our ministry does that because we take in those that are the marginalized. We take in those, the least of these. We take in and we talk to and we try to help the impoverished. We've delivered over 9,000 meals in the last 4 months to shut-ins and through our community meals. And so I just want to again warn, and I was warning for it for 18 months, if we don't address the homeless population from COVID, we're going to have an outbreak. There's been small communities throughout the state and through the United States that have experienced it because they didn't address the homeless issue. If we don't address and have resources for the homeless, they're trying to build houses for $300,000 and they're using $15 an hour warehouse jobs. Let me tell you, I'm getting calls every single day from people getting evicted because they can't afford housing anymore, ladies and gentlemen. The homeless population is going to increase and has increased exponentially in the last 4 years that I've done this ministry.
Okay.
So, again, I just wanted to let you guys know what we're doing at Mark 12. If you have any questions?
Okay.
No, we appreciate what you're doing for the community. I mean, we do. It's not gone unnoticed, but, you know, thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Ed Dunnigan. Ed?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I was talking to the judge earlier today, and he asked if I would speak. I know we got the weather coming in and everything else, but the last one that came through here, I just want to commend the Works Department. About 8 o'clock that night, I had to go out and do something. The plows are already down and working hard, and I can also tell you, I knew exactly where Jefferson Bullitt County line was. You know, they work hard, and I just want to make sure that they get a recognition from you all, and that's really just it. I just want to say thank you all for the hard work y'all are doing. I know the judge was telling me, and he mentioned it earlier today, how he allocated the salt piles and different so they can get out and serve the community better, and I just want to say thank y'all.
Thank you, Ed. I also like to thank Mayor Armstrong for his leadership and what I'm going to say, partnership with the county, and I'll use that word strongly because without his support, some of what we have done in this community to make what I'm going to say, not only the road service, but other county organizations more efficient. It attributes a lot to his leadership and the leaderships of the other mayors too in working with our fiscal court. It's truly been a new day and refreshing in Bullitt County, the amount of, I'll use this word lightly, hand-holding between the cities and the county. It's truly saving the taxpayers a lot of dollars in Bullitt County, especially when it comes to emergency services in taking care of our roads. And Mayor, I can't thank you all enough for working with us
Thank you.
and your team.
It works so well with all the cities. I know it works well with Mount Washington. The cooperation goes both ways, and we're up there to help our county. We are part of the county. It's not just Mount Washington.
Yes, sir.
And we look forward to working with you all continue.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you all.
And also, I've got to take my hat off, too. We have another distinguished guest here, City Councilwoman from City of Lebanon Junction. I can't say enough about what y'all have done and what we have done to work with the City of Lebanon Junction through the sewer project, water projects, blacktopping, and also more recently being able to store salt down there to where it doesn't take us a couple of hours to get to and from. So,
It's nice and clear down there.
yes, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you all too. And I don't see anyone here from Shepherdsville, or I'd like to thank both Mayor Hockenberry and Mayor Edens both for what they have done for us in the last year and with this coming year as well. Members of the court, any discussion? Sean?
Yeah, I do want to read one of you, when you find this. Skip over to me and just come back to me. I got it here. This goes to, kind of echoes what he said with the road department, but over on Armstrong, we had a tile got washed out, and we put that tile back in, and had a homeowner send an email, and I want to share this because it's kind of bragging on Robert and his crew at the road department. But it says you guys got the tile put back in and did a phenomenal job. It's even better than the original. I didn't expect them to do that much. I greatly appreciate your help, and please let your guys know I appreciate their great work. I just wanted to read that because on court, because sometimes people don't get the recognition, so I want to pass that on. That gentleman was very appreciative, and that was off Armstrong Lane. So Robert and his crew did a good job there, and he's always done a good job anytime we've asked something. So I appreciate all the work they do over there, and I do know that we're expecting another storm, so those guys will be out. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I don't think I got anything else. Just appreciate everybody coming out here today.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Laswell.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Rahill.
Just to echo on that, I talk to Robert, sometimes 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'll talk to him, in the evening where he's trying to get a nap where he's been out all night. This storm coming up is going to be a little bit difficult. He's worrying himself sick. He said the rain's coming in before. He said it's going to turn to ice. So he said, what do? What do we put salt down? It runs off. We put the brine down. It runs off. So be very careful. If we get what we're going to ready to get, it's going to be tough. So we got to determine, and Robert's one of the best in the business to determine it. So he ain't going to waste anything on that road. He ain't going to keep anybody out of harm or in harm. So just say a prayer for our road department. They're going to work their butts off if we get what we get, for sure. And I just want to thank, I understand there's a lot of controversy, a lot of stuff in our county of what to do, what not to do. I wish the other people were here just to let them know is, it's hard on us up here because we do want to grow. That's what we want. But we sure don't want to infringe on somebody else's life. But it's a part of it. It's kind of like on Highway 44, every time someone says it, my skin crawls. Because it's a fight every time with the state. It's like going to your neighbor's yard and saying, hey, I want to widen your driveway. Well, no, you ain't widening my driveway. You can't walk over and widen it. You just can't do it. I don't care how much trouble. If they don't want to widen it, you can't do it. State just, they just don't want to. But we're working, just like Sean and the judge, and they've been up there and beat the bushes and doing what they can to get them to move. But when you add a bead to a price, people get really, nervous. But, doing it as the judge is working and the court's working, doing section by section, is the way we're going to be able to do it. But just to kind of the homeless, yes, I understand there's a problem. I totally understand that. We are putting money in other avenues, maybe not what you like. I apologize for that. But we are working with other avenues to help do what we're doing. But that's about all I got, Jay. We're just, I just want to let you know we're trying. Doing the best we can with what we have. And we're blessed. With the amount of money we paid off and the amount of money that we're going to have a little bit to work with next year is going to be amazing. So, just want to let you know that we are doing something. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Magistrate Rahal. And I can echo all the thoughts. We understand 44. We understand that it's been on the front page of the newspaper since I found one in the building in 1968. Tommy would be pleased to know that Pioneer News was happily running then. But we do have opportunities now as a community, and the community needs to step up and help us all the way around as we have. I know Mayor Armstrong's here, Mayor Dangerfield. Teresa, thank you for being here to represent Lebanon Junction and caring about our community. But we have been to Frankfort and we have talked to leadership on both sides, and we're getting the opportunities that we can. But they won't do anything with 44 without a current updated environmental plan, which expired a year or so ago. And this is where we put funding back into, and it should be done hopefully by this March, to where we'll have the opportunity to present our case back to the Transportation Committees, the joint one of the House and the Senate, to get a large stipend for at least one section of Highway 44. And again, Mayor, thank you for being here, and those are my thoughts. But you all stay warm, stay safe. The ice storm, the last time we were up par for 5 to 10 days here in the city of Shepherdsville as well in sections. So,
Judge, may I add one thing?
yes, sir, you sure can, Mayor.
I personally want to thank you all. I know the city of Mount Washington does for, I know that we're close to paying off $28 million worth of debt in Bullitt County.
Yes.
Which has been unheard of until this court has said. And I know you all also had to spend a lot of money. And to do both of those things and accomplish getting the debt paid off, $28 million, you have my appreciation.
Thank you.
You should have county's appreciation.
Yes, sir. We have worked hard. It's wherever Kay is at, if she's still here, we haven't bought a pencil out of that. So, we have worked hard, and our list is long and lengthy, especially improving emergency services and services towards the community. So, anyway, at this time, I'm not going to digress here. Candace, call the roll. Oh, wait a minute,
If he's not here, I'll do it for him right next to him, but I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logston, a second by 3rd District Magistrate Laswell to adjourn the Bullitt County Fiscal Court meeting of February 15, 2022 at 11:12 a.m. Candace, call the roll.
Mr. Rahal? Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Thank all of you all for coming today. Sure.